for Wednesday, February 5th, 2020. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Next order of business is the HARB's reorganization. Do I have a proposal for chair?
Yes, I will make the proposal that you, Bob Mordesco, be the chair of the HARB for the upcoming year. Since there are only 3 of us on the committee now, there is no need for a vice chair, because if the chair is unable to attend, we do not have a quorum and cannot meet. So I would like to propose that you, Bob, take over as chair, and that is...
If you hadn't, so I'll definitely second it.
Okay, all right.
Well, thank you, very, very humbling. Thank you, Sarah and Terry.
Okay, so all in favor? So we're all in favor. Congratulations, Bob. Welcome aboard.
Thank you again, very, very humbling here. Alrighty. Next order of business is new business. HARB number 2020-01, 418 Oak Lane, to enclose an existing back porch. Should I just discuss what I'm doing? Your pictures, et cetera, will be projected overhead.
Okay.
So you can lay them out on
yeah.
the table.
And just some basic ground rules. We're only interested on we're not interested in any interior shots or pictures, just the outside and what's visible in the public view. But before we begin to, I guess I should go over just some basic research that I've done on the property. According to Radnor Township records, it's a contributing property in the historic district. It was built in between 1885 and 1889. The architect was the Price brothers, and the builder was Wendell and Smith. According to Radnor Historical Society records, the style is a Bruin lodge, which in general is a pattern type of house for either the builder or the architect of that time. It was built between 1889 and 1890. Architect Price Brothers, builder Wendell and Smith. According to Delaware County property records, the house was built in 1885. Style old. No further information. So you can see the various sources that we do look at give varying information, but I think most on target is Radnor Historical Society, along with the Radnor Township record. Just did a brief check also on Zillow, which I think was in way left field. True, and you'll probably understand this, Terry, considering your real estate background. The style is Queen Anne they have there, and it was built in 1889, so at least I got close in the second part.
Okay, yeah, I've been in this house since 1996, about 24 years, and for years I've been wanting to enclose my back porch. It doesn't have any load-bearing walls. It's just kind of an enclave inside of the house. There's rooms above it, and there's rooms to the side of it, but what I'd like to do is just frame 2 walls, the one that's in the back, which is pointing west, and the one that's on the side, which is pointing south. Just frame them. On the back wall, I'll have a door and a double window, and the double window will honor the style that's on the front of the house, which is 2 windows with a like a separation in between them to just try to match up the style in the back. On the side, there's just going to be a single window, and I don't believe this will be able to be seen from the house. I guess the side will be able to be seen from the house, but once it has the brown shingles on it, it's enclosed, I'm thinking that it would be indistinguishable from the rest of the house. That's what I'm trying to get to, just to enclose it and not upset the architecture, just make it indistinguishable from the rest of the architecture. And that's pretty much all that I wanted to do.
We've spoken to Andy, who is confident in your skills as a builder. We normally request a lot more detail about what it's actually going to look like. I recognize that you are not a building professional, and we can't require that level of input from you. You seem to be very interested in making sure that it's indistinguishable from the original, and that is the goal of this committee, is to make sure it looks like it, even if it wasn't, to look like it was always there. I warn you that other committees might want more information, and that it might behoove you to pay someone to do a more detailed rendering. That's my advice, because you may run up against people who are going to want that for permitting purposes. That's all of my comment.
What excuse me, what other committee might that be? So this has to go through further review?
You will have to go before the commissioners. We are only actually advisory. We will recommend to the commissioners that they vote according to what we recommend, but they don't always do that. I cannot imagine this is going to ring any bells, but just in case, be prepared if they ask for a more detailed drawing. And I think you would be well served to provide an attestation that you will work with the township for any permitting and inspections that are required. That if you had a contractor, they would do that for you. But since you're doing it yourself, and good for you, by the way, you would, I think it's a good idea to just make sure that the people who will be reviewing this after we get through with it understand your intentions, to make sure that everybody who needs to be is happy with the quality of your work.
I will do that. Thank you very much.
I guess
Well, as far as the siding is concerned, it'll be the same cedar shakes, painted the same color brown. Oh, okay, yeah. Maybe I didn't put it there, but that's what the in. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't, maybe I didn't put it in, but it will be brown cedar shakes with the, right on the corner, yeah. Oh, goodness. Okay, well, I'll take all that into mind, yeah. The one with the two houses on the lot. Yeah.
Well, I saw this property yesterday, just, walking the block and the streets around it. As I was approaching the house, like from the left, you could see the back partially from street level, but you have to look for it. And then I went on to Eagle Road. So again, I'm on foot, right? And there's a fence there, but I'm taller than the fence. So I could go and see the whole back of the house that's there, just looking over the fence. But then again, not everybody's 6'3".
Yeah, but
And-
you can get a very clean shot between the houses that are on North Wayne.
Well,
It's very visible.
with
It's very-
this, if the fence wasn't there, it would be very visible. But the fence kind of like covers it up at least from, an average.
Yeah, but
view?
it can very clearly be seen. There's no question that
Oh.
it is a very, very, from so many angles. It's not like you're in the middle of the block.
Right.
If you're in the middle of the block, we probably couldn't see it at all, and we wouldn't be here. But
I agree. When I looked over now again, I'm taller than the fence, and it is very visible in that
Yeah.
regard.
Yeah, and the
Um,
fence, you can, between the house that's on the corner of North Wayne. They don't have the fence in the back. It's really very strong. Well, I'm actually okay. Andy's okay, I'm okay.
If I may. Just to give you some more background, we've had, the applicant and I have had several meetings going back several months. He's been very conscientious and meticulous about asking the questions about how to approach this. And though essentially what may be lacking is a colored rendering of an elevation, through our meetings and everything, the phone conversations I've had, it's essentially a continuation of the exterior walls on both sides with the same materials to match the siding. So that's where I had a comfort level. It's rather saying, go ahead and you be your own contractor. He knows what he has to verify in the field with me. So as far as the code side, we've had several, good discussions and meetings, and I'm confident, going forward, that he can, do the construction aspect of it. So I just wanted to give you some kind of background to it. This has been going on for at least a good 6 months. We've been talking.
I have another question for you. The concrete, is it concrete, the pier there? Is it wood or concrete? I can't tell. Are you going to enclose it, or is it going to be visible? Just from a design standpoint, are you going to enclose it?
Yeah, I was going to leave it visible, but I was kind of going back and forth. Initially, I was just going to leave it visible because
I don't think it was concrete when it was built originally. In other words, that does not look like an original.
Yeah.
That type of concrete square would have been far too dull for 1889.
that
It is much more likely to have been wood.
yeah, well, that back of the house and that overhang was added about
But the
80
square
years ago.
concrete is likely to have been a replacement at some point.
That was an addition on the back. So that pillar is probably.
So preservation of the concrete square is not.
No, I just was asking, are you going to enclose it or are you going to leave it?
I was going to leave it the way it is, because there are it has stucco over top of it, and there are other places in the house that have stucco, so I didn't think that it would stick out so much. But it certainly could be enclosed also with shingles.
I don't think it's the end of the world one way or another.
Yeah.
But I
No.
guess
All right, well, here's what I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to offer you a modest compromise. I like the fact that you are so careful about wanting to look the way it is, but I also think that the commissioners would be better served if you have a rendering. So here's my motion. I move that we recommend a certificate of appropriateness pending your providing the commissioners with a rendering of what it's actually going to look like. Not written and not hand-drawn, but an architect's rendering of what the exterior is going to look like. We're confident that you're going to use the correct materials, and I'm confident that it's going to look fine. But everything else that we send to them has way much more detail. And I think you, as an applicant, will be much better served by providing an actual architect's drawing of what it's going to look like. So that's my recommendation, that we recommend a certificate of appropriateness pending an architect's rendering of what the actual back of the house is going to look like once your addition is complete.
I would like to change the wording on that because an architect can be very expensive. And I think somebody who is very artistic could do the same thing
Okay.
for about $1,000 less.
Probably, okay.
So, you know, that we.
A rendering, maybe not by an architect, but a rendering of what the actual,
That is, can be done in color and showing the material. And not require an architect.
So I'm thinking a design rendering, would that be
I'm
appropriate
certifying
language?
accurate color rendering, listing the materials
Okay.
to be used.
Okay.
okay, so a conditional certificate of appropriateness pending a rendering of what the house is, a designer's rendering, whether it's an architect or anyone else who can give you an actual rendering of what the back of the house is now going to look like once your addition is in place. Just so people, I mean, we can imagine it. And talking to you, as I said, I understand your commitment to making sure it looks like it has always been there. But I think you don't have enough information for the commissioners to make an informed decision. And I think, I don't want you to be turned away. I think it's in your best interest to try and get somebody to do that kind of a drawing for you. And I'm sorry to encumber you with that additional action, but I don't think you have provided us with enough that we can absolutely recommend a certificate of appropriateness. But conditional. I mean, once you have the drawing, I think we're all good.
Will the drawing have to be reviewed at another meeting, or can?
I don't think so. Do you want to see it?
I'm not, guess I'm going to look up just because he knows already.
Yeah. Okay. So we don't need to see you again?
Okay, so if I get the drawing, I could just submit it somehow?
Right. But once we give a conditional approval like this, the commissioners will not review it until you have all the pieces that we request. So it might not be this month unless you can get somebody quick.
Okay, so the motion, unless Terry has any, you're fine? Okay. It seems to me that the motion would be to issue a certificate of appropriateness
Conditional.
with the condition
Right.
of a design rendering. Okay.
Yes. So moved.
Is there a second? Okay. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No old business.
Also, thank you, Andy, for your input. That was very informative. Thank you. All righty.
Old business, none.
Old business, is there any? None? Okay. Public participation.
I propose a change in our meeting time to 6:30 because the traffic has gotten too horrific.
Okay.
6. There are long lines in every direction. You can't move anywhere quickly. From my house, which is 2 blocks from the intersection of Fuller and Comstoga.
Thank you.
to Plymouth,
I'll look forward to seeing you.
that is not, it's no longer reasonable. And after
Mary Ann, what, we have all amongst ourselves been anxious to get this meeting time moved to 6:30 because the traffic is just very difficult for people who, I mean, I've missed meetings myself being stuck in traffic. And now that there's only 3 of us, it's very difficult for people who have to come not from around the corner. So what do we have to do to get this meeting time moved to 6:30?
It would be something the Board of Commissioners would have to approve.
Okay, so do we submit a motion from ourselves?
I'll email Kevin
Okay,
and see how he wants to proceed with it.
okay, please do, because I think all of us are anxious to move this to 6:30, because it is just much easier. And if we try to recruit people, 6:30, I think, would be a much easier goal.
Just as a comment, the 6 o'clock time works most convenient for me. But then again, I'm not driving here. I'm taking the train for my commute from Philadelphia. So far, it hasn't been an impediment for me. And maybe we could have further additional views as we obtain new board members. But what I would entertain, not a permanent fix, but possibly a temporary fix on the time. Does that sound reasonable?
I think we're gonna have more problems. Like,
Well, again, I think, in my opinion, this time works the best for me. Now, again, I'm not driving, and maybe it's a good thing I'm not contributing to the congestion of our roadways. I don't know, a deer or two might find that a little bit different.
Especially with the opening of Penn's new facility on
Oh.
King of Prussia, this King of Prussia Road. I think that the traffic trying to get even close to this building is going to increase exponentially, especially with the traffic light not working at Radnor, Chester, and King of Prussia. I think that we need to be informed of how we as a committee proceed in requesting a time change.
I'll email Kevin and I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Again, just like one last comment, because again, this time has been working so well for me. I'm sorry to hear it's been unfortunate for both of you. But again, at least from my perspective, it has been most beneficial for me. So again, trying to balance all concerns here, I would like to suggest until we get more of a fuller board, because I'm not sure if the time is an issue. Maybe the 6 o'clock time would be more appropriate for other people who'd like to join our board. I don't know until we get more people. So again, at least from my perspective and opinion, if we're going to make a change, let's make it temporary and see what happens. Just wanted to share with you before we adjourn some interesting thing that I came across as far as house sizes and how house sizes have changed through time. For me, it was quite eye-opening. It's very brief. It was from an article, but I wanted to share it with you. Over the past century or so, there has been a clear trend toward bigger and bigger houses. The average new house in 1920 was 1,048 square feet. In 1975, the median house had 1,535 square feet of living space. And in 2018, the median was 2,386 square feet, 128% larger than in 1920. And then I got some comments there on that one article, and it was very interesting, where some people were just saying, all you really need is 900 square feet. But I thought that was an interesting viewpoint and statistics on how our houses have just become more and more larger. So with that being said, I motion for adjournment.
I'll second that.
We are adjourned, but before we adjourn, I'd just like to note that the next meeting of the HARB is scheduled for Wednesday, March 4th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Applications for the March 4th meeting must be submitted on or before February 18, 2020. Thank you.